Alrighty, hello everybody. My name is Luke. I'm going to be taking us through the webinar today. I am going to give you guys a brief little outline of what I'm going to talk about today, and that will hopefully give a couple of the coaches that are late a chance to join the call here. But essentially, the main goal of today's webinar is to really show you guys the steps on how you can get started using the VNN Team app in your program. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is how to activate your program, how to get your athletes and your parents signed up properly, all of the different things that you guys need to do before your athletes can start to really capture the power of the app. And then after that, I am going to jump into some of the communication and organization features, as well as some of the training features and some of the other things that you can do inside the app. With all of that being said, I am going to record this webinar for you guys. So if you didn't input your email when you signed in, if you could message that to me in the chat from your GoToMeeting control panel, that would be awesome. That way I'll have your email so I can ensure that you get the recording of this webinar as well as all of the information that you guys will need moving forward. Another thing to note with the chat is throughout our time here together, if you guys have questions, please type your questions in the chat so I can answer them. Or you can also send me a personal email. I'm going to post my email in the chat right now if you don't have it already, which you should. I sent you all these emails this morning, but I just posted it in there. So please send me an email, and that way, I'll be able to ensure that I can answer all of your questions. The final thing here before I get started is if you could make sure your microphones are muted on your computers throughout the time on our call, that would be great. I don't want there to be any background noise for coaches if they can't hear. I want the audio to be as clear as possible throughout the 15 or 20 minutes that we're here on the phone. So again, if you could number one, mute your microphones, number two, utilize the chat, and then number three, send me your email in the chat if you didn't use it when you signed in, because that way I'll be able to email you a recording of the webinar once we're finished here, so that I can ensure that you get the recording and you get all the information that you need. So with all of that being said, I am going to jump in and get started. And as I mentioned, I'm going to go over first the proper steps to get signed in and activated in the VNN Team app. And as I go through this, I'll give you guys a chance to type questions out in the chat, and then we'll go from there. So the first thing you're going to want to do before you can start to use the Team app is ensure that your program has been activated. So I'm sure most of you have VNN accounts already created. And so what you're going to want to do is go to your home.getvnn.com screen to activate your team. So I'm going to copy this link and I'm going to post it inside the chat here right now. If you want to go there, if you haven't activated your program yet, you can go there. You'll find a little box that says VNN Team. My demo account is already activated, so mine says View Team. But if your team hasn't been activated yet, it will say Activate Your Team right here. Once you click that, you will be able to see this screen right here, and then you'll see a button here that says Activate Your Team. You'll want to click that, and once you do, you'll be all set to download the app, to sign in, to get started, to invite your athletes, which is what I'm going to go over next. So again, the very first thing you guys want to do is go to your home.getvnn screen, activate your program, ensure that it's up and running so that you can move forward with the next steps in your account. With that being said, the next step is obviously where you can download the Team app from either the App Store or the Google Play Store. So depending on if you have an iPhone or an Android, you can go to those two stores. You can download the app and get started, or you can also sign in to the web version of the app, which is found right here. I'm going to send the link into the chat. It's vnn.gomax1.com, and essentially, I just pasted it in the chat. This is a place where you can organize your program. It syncs right with the app on your phone. So you can create calendars, you can send messages, you can do all of that stuff from here on your computer if that might be easier for you rather than having to do it on your phone. So again, step one, activate your program. Step two, sign in on your phone or on the computer. And then the third step is to invite your athletes. So each of your programs has an individual athlete code, and that code can be found either inside the app on your phone or on the web version, and I'll show you both. From the version on your phone, once you sign in, I'll zoom in so you can see it, you're gonna wanna tap this little team button on this bottom navigation. And then once you do, you'll see this invite code in the top right corner. That code is specific to your guys' program. So you'll want to send that code to your athletes. You'll say, hey, download the VNN Team app. Here's the code to sign up. And once they tap sign up and create their accounts, they're able to use that code to create their accounts. And then that's where they'll show up here on your roster. And that's when you'll be able to start sending them messages, assigning calendar events to them, all of that once your athletes get signed up. You can find that code from the web version as well. Once you sign in, you click athletes on the left-hand navigation. Here will be a list of all the athletes that you currently have in your program, and then you can just click this plus to find that same invite code that you'll find inside the app under the team tab. So what's really important to note is when it comes to signing up your athletes and parents, you'll need your athletes to sign up first. And essentially, I'll tell you why here in a second, but once your athletes sign up, then the parents can go in. They don't need a code. They can just create a general parent account from downloading the VNN Team app. And then once they create their account, they're actually going to link to their athlete's account. So essentially, the reason we have the parents linked to the athletes is because mainly security reasons. We want to make sure that all of the parents are the correct parents of the athletes inside your VNN Team app account. But essentially, the athlete will create their account. Then the parent can create their account. They'll sign in, they'll send a text message to their athlete, and that will verify that it's the right parent. The athlete will accept that link, and then the parent will be able to sign in and view all of their parent information. So that's calendars, that's your guys' VNN athletic website, team news, school news, all the things that you guys are posting and sending to them, the parents will be able to see once they link with their athlete. Now, I'm gonna send you guys a link to some videos that walk the parents through the process. I just posted it in the chat right there. There's 3 videos. There's an athlete video, a parent video, and also a parent and athlete linking video. Those are super helpful to send to your parents and so that they know the process. But again, I want to stress the importance. Step 1, athlete signs up to your account. Step 2, the parent links to the athlete. With that being said, if any of your parents come across any issues or they don't understand or the video doesn't make sense to them, I know parents can be burdensome with questions sometimes, so feel free to give them my email or our VNN support email. Have them reach out to us, and honestly, 95% of the time when parents can't sign up, it's because of user error, and it's something that they don't quite understand right. So if you guys have them email us, we'll be able to ensure that they get onboarded. We'll be able to ensure that they get linked with their athletes. We'll make sure that it's a smooth transition for them so you don't have to worry about answering those parents' questions. So again, if your parents are having issues, have them shoot us an email, have them shoot me an email. I'd be happy to reach out to your parents and ensure that all of their accounts are getting linked properly. With that being said, that can go for you guys as well. If you guys are having some questions or some issues, the biggest thing to do is to ask. So if you want to send me an email, or if something doesn't make sense, please send me an email, and I'll ensure that your athletes and parents are getting signed up properly, because we really want you to be able to utilize the awesome features that we have in the app, the communication, the calendar, and the training if you're an elite user, those features. And so if you have questions, please shoot me an email and let me know, and I'd be happy to get those resolved for you as quickly as possible. With that being said, that's the sign-up process. So I am going to type out those steps that I just mentioned in the chat so that you guys have them. While I do that, if you have any questions, please type them in the chat if it's regarding onboarding your athletes or parents, and then I'll answer those questions here after I pause for about 10 or 20 seconds to make sure that you guys have a chance to answer your questions there. So again, if you have some questions, type them in the chat, and then I'll move on to some of the features like the communication and calendars. Alrighty. I don't see any questions coming in, which is okay. If you have some pop up, feel free to type them in as I continue. I just typed the 5 steps that I went through. So number 1, activating your program. Number 2, downloading the app. Number 3, inviting athletes. Number 4, inviting parents. And number 5, emailing me if you have any questions. So those steps are in there. Hopefully that's helpful for you guys. Because like I said before, we want to make the onboarding process as smooth as possible for you so that you can start to use the awesome features that are really going to save you time and help you run a more efficient program. With that being said, I'm going to move into some of the features. So communication and calendars first, and then I'm going to talk about the training for a little bit. And then I'm going to talk about how it links to your VNN website. So once your athletes and coaches get signed in, you can move everyone into groups. So essentially, you can create different groups for your program. So if you have like a freshman, JV, and varsity team, if you want to create some groups for that are sport specific. So in my basketball example, it's going to be post players, guards, captains. Have a freshman, JV, varsity. You can create those groups for a couple different reasons, and first and most important reason is with the communication. Essentially, with the communication, you can send a text, an email, or a push notification to any of those individual athletes or any of those groups that you've created. So if I select some groups, maybe I want to send a message to my varsity team, or maybe I want to send it to my varsity and my JV team. You can select your groups and type your message. Just click send, and that message is going to go out to the athletes that are part of the groups that I have selected. If you want to send that message to parents, what you're going to do is after you select your groups, you can select to send it to just the parents, and this will go to the parents of the groups you have selected. So in this case, all of my JV and varsity parents would receive this message, or you can send it to both athletes and parents at the same time. Another feature we have that's part of the Elite upgrade, which I will talk about at the end, is the ability to schedule messages later. So basically, you can select a day, you can plan ahead on some of your messages, schedule those messages at a later date, and send those messages at that time. All of those features, that one-way communication, so text messages, emails, and push notifications, you can do that from the app as well. So essentially, what you'll do first is select your recipients, whether it's athletes or groups. Then you'll select the type of message. Then you'll select your recipient type, so whether it's athletes, parents, or both athletes and parents at the same time. Then you can type your message and click send right from inside the app on your phone. Like I said before, that's one-way communication. So those are message blasts that you can send out, but parents and athletes can't respond to. It's strictly informational. If you don't want to get bombarded with questions, you can use the one-way communication. Now, we also have two-way communication, and this is helpful if you do want parents to be able to ask questions, to collaborate on certain things, or if you want your athletes to be able to ask questions. You can use the two-way group chat channels. That's only found inside the app. These messages will live here in the app, so whatever you send, that'll stay in here. You'll be able to send messages back and forth and communicate with your team on more of a live basis. Now, with the Elite upgrade, you get unlimited group chats. With the free version, depending on what you guys have, you get 2 group chats, an all parent chat and an all athlete chat, depending on what your program or what your school has for their certain accounts. So that's the communication features. Essentially, we have one-way communication for athletes and parents. We have two-way communication. You can do it from your phone or you can do it from the web. All that's made available to you guys, and to make sure that all of your recipients in your program are in the loop, and make sure that they are able to get all the information that they need. With that being said, I'm going to move on to calendars. And while I jump to calendars, if you have any more questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. And then from there, I'll answer those as long as they are related to the VNN Team app, what I'm talking about here. So in the calendars, essentially whatever your athletic director or whatever you post on your VNN athletic website, those schedules are going to sync here to the Team app. But if you want to create your own practice schedules or schedules that are specific to your sport program, you can create as many of those additional schedules as you want. So if I click this little plus, maybe I want to make a practice schedule for my whole program. I can change the description, the color. I'll click save, and then that calendar is going to show up. Then I can click on a day, and I can click on the schedule I just created, I can name it a practice or whatever I want my event to be named. I can add a start time and an end time. I can go to more details. I can add a location, a description, and you can also set event reminders. So this is super helpful if you have some athletes that really just don't remember when practice is, or they're struggling to be there on time. You can set push notification reminders that show up a day to 10 minutes before your event, so that athletes or parents, whoever you share the schedule with, is able to get that notification and make it on time. Now, with that being said, once you create a practice or any event, you can drag and drop those events. So if you have the same practice at the same time every day, you can just whip out your practice schedule here in the matter of a couple minutes, rather than creating 100 events for your entire year. You can just drag and drop those and create all your schedules pretty quickly there. All of these schedules are also available inside the app as well. So if we look at the calendar, this is what it's going to look like for parents and athletes. They can tap on a day. They can see what event is on that day. They can check the details, the description, the location, everything that you've inputted for that event. And then they can also sync this to their personal calendars. So under the More tab in Settings, there's a calendar sync button. And if a parent or athlete uses like their Google Calendar or maybe their Outlook calendar on their phones, they'll be able to sync their VNN Team App schedule right with those calendars as well, so everything's in one spot for them. And then you as coaches as well can also add events. You can fill in additional details. You can, or edit previous events, excuse me. You can add new events. You can do all of that stuff from the calendar here on the phone, just like you can from the web version as well, as I was showing you a little bit earlier. With that being said, that's the communication and the calendars that I just went over. I'm going to check and see if there's any questions in the chat right now, so I'll pause here. Don't see any yet, which is fine. If you have some questions pop up, feel free to type them in there. But if not, I'm just going to keep moving on. So the next thing I'm going to show you guys is how the VNN Team app is synced with your VNN website. So essentially, number one, when you sign in, when your athletes or parents sign in, the school news and team news that are on your guys' VNN Athletic website are automatically going to sync here onto their homepage. So if a parent wants to know what's going on with the school, they can click an event that will take them to the VNN website, and they'll be able to see the events or the post that's going on there. Same with your team news. Now, you're also, as a coach, able to add article posts from inside the app. You can also report scores via Pressbox to your VNN website. So if you're on the road after an away game and you want to report the score on the bus rather than waiting until you get home or get back to the office to do it on the computer, you can do it right here inside the app. You can also set up your team's digital donations via your VNN website as well, using Rally Around Us. And you can set that up here inside the app as well. And then also the photo galleries. These are all things that are synced with your school's VNN Athletic website. Let's see. Looks like I had someone in the chat. All right. Someone asked if I can email them. That's awesome. Yeah, if you guys have any personal questions and you want me to email you, feel free to chat those over to me, and I'd be happy to do so as well after this call. There's no other questions. The next thing I'm gonna jump into here for the conclusion of our webinar is some of the training features. And so these are features that are available if you're an elite school. So if you haven't upgraded to elite, I just want to kind of give a little bit info on that. Essentially, you can either upgrade your individual program or your athletic director can upgrade your entire school. So if your AD hasn't upgraded your entire school, but the elite package is something you're interested in, you can talk to your AD. You can try to convince him to upgrade it for your program. And then from there, maybe he'll upgrade the whole school later on. But essentially with the elite, you're going to get unlimited messaging as well as all of these training features that I'm going to go over. So we have these skill development or these training libraries where you can add and store content. You can add videos, you can add PDFs, you can add new drills and new things for your athletes to work on. These are going to show up right for the athlete inside their VNN Team app on their phones. Essentially from here, to add new content, you hit the little plus. You can name your drill. You can add the leaderboards, whether it's a performance-based leaderboard or just a cumulative points-based leaderboard. You can have your athletes measure specific metrics that they record. You can type in coaching points. You can add videos from your computer that have already been downloaded or a PDF, or you can copy and paste a link to a YouTube or Vimeo video right here as well. All of these libraries have the same process for adding content. So skill development is going to be some sport specific content. Strength and conditioning, we actually have a package already in there if you upgrade to Elite that has over 75 strength videos with proper form that you guys can use to create workouts. Education materials is a spot where a lot of coaches like to put playbooks, out of bounds plays for basketball, that kind of thing, or whatever is specific to your sport, team goals, leadership content, scouting reports, that sort of thing. Coaches like to use education materials for. And then coaching resources is kind of cool because it's only available to your coaches. So your athletes won't have access to this. This is the spot where you can collaborate with your coaching staff. You can work on things that you guys want to implement, that sort of thing that's only available for your fellow coaches. With that being said, once you add content to those libraries, you can start to create workouts and assignments with them. So essentially you can create a workout, you hit the plus, you name your workout. Just going to go through this rather quickly, but essentially you can customize your workout however you want it to be completed. So you could make it a strength and conditioning workout, you could make it a skill development workout, select a couple exercises, we'll click next. Here they show up, and then I can drag them and drop them in the order that I want my athletes to complete them. So I can customize these, I can change around the sets, I can change around the reps. You can make it, physical reps, or you can make it timed. So if you have like a shooting drill, you want them to do one set, you want them to shoot for 5 minutes or whatever. For this basketball example, you can customize the workout in those ways. From there, that's an individual workout. You can also take those individual workouts and put them into a larger workout program. So essentially, similar process. You name your program, you click next. Now, instead of grabbing individual exercises, I'm going to grab individual workouts. So I'm going to grab a couple workouts I want. I'm going to click next. Same process, you drag them and drop them. Maybe I just want one workout a week. So I can do that one for week 1. I can do this one for week 2, this one for week 3, etc. Obviously, you can add as many workouts per week as you want. You don't have to limit it to just one per week. You could do 1 or 2 or even 3 a week, 4 a week, however many workouts you guys have per week that you have your athletes doing. From there, you're able to assign these workouts or these programs to these calendars. And then once you assign them, you're able to see the results from your athletes. So they're able to go in on their phones. They can see, the workout that they have for the day. They can see what exercises they have to complete. They can see the coaching points you've had. If you've included a video, great. They can watch that. They can input their weight or whatever else you ask them to record. And then that's where their results will show up on the leaderboards for you guys and for the athletes inside the phone. But then also for you guys, you can check the results on the leaderboards from the computer as well. So you can look at the points leaderboard and see, who's racking up the most points, which essentially would mean who's working the hardest, who's doing the most drills. And then the performance leaderboard, which is going to show you, okay, for each individual drill that I've assigned, who's performing the best, who's lifting the most, who's making the most shots, however you guys want to track it. You're able to see which athletes have climbed the leaderboard, which athletes are improving over time, that sort of thing, right from inside the performance leaderboard here on the computer. So again, that's the training features, adding content, creating workouts, assigning them, and then creating that culture of competition with the different leaderboards. That's the big part of the training, which, as I mentioned, is part of the Elite upgrade. And if I'll go over here and kind of show you the pricing of that before I conclude our time together here today. With the pricing for the Elite upgrade, essentially it's $300 per individual program for the entire year. So that would include all of the unlimited messaging, all of the calendar and organizational features, as well as all of that training. And then, if your athletic director wanted to upgrade, we have options for that as well. If they wanted to get every single sport, every single coach at your school on board with the Elite program. So if the Elite is something that you're interested in learning more about, please send me an email after this, or I'm also going to be sending you guys a follow-up email after our webinar, and so you can always reply to that as well, and we can get you set up, or I can answer any questions that you have about the Elite upgrade. With that being said, that's everything that I wanted to talk about with you guys. So I'm going to leave the floor open for about probably 5 minutes or however long you guys need to ask your questions. And so if you do have any questions, please use this time to throw them in the chat. I'll answer those, and then we'll be on our way. So as you guys are typing your questions, I will just kind of review what we talked about. I went over the steps to get started. So activating your program, inviting your athletes, inviting your parents. Then I went over and talked about the communication and the calendars. I talked about the training features. I talked about some of the features and how they sync to your VNN website. And really, I hope through all of that, you guys saw the power of this platform and how it can make not only your program better, but also your lives as coaches easier, more efficient, more effective. That's really the goal of this team app. We want to keep everything that you guys need all in one spot, all in one app, so that you can organize and lead your program in the most efficient and effective way possible. So I hope this was helpful for you guys in making that happen. And again, if you have any questions, please shoot them in the chat and I'll be happy to answer them. Awesome. So I have one question here. It says, what information will the athletes need to sign up? She wants to make sure that she knows exactly how to be prepared before I send the invite. That's a great question. So the athletes, when they sign up, they will use their email and they will create a password. So essentially their email is their username, and then their password is obviously whatever they want it to be. And then when they sign up, they'll also input their phone number. Date of birth and graduation class is optional, so those aren't necessary. It's kind of nice if they do include that, so that you can kind of track who are my freshmen, sophomore, junior, senior, who are my middle schoolers, whatever. But really the only things they need are their emails and their phone numbers. So that's a great question. And Amy, also, if you want to watch those videos that I posted of the athlete sign up process, you'll be able to see exactly what they'll need to fill out. And so that might be something that's helpful for you as well. All right, here's a question. Brian asks, how do we get our score updates from Pressbox that are filtered to our VNN website to show in our team news on the app? Great question. So that's something that you will want to set up from your home.getvnn screen. And you can do this from inside the app as well. Oops. But essentially, if you go into Pressbox, here it is. If you click into Pressbox, you'll be able to toggle all of the settings there and kind of toggle it however you want. And then when you add your scores and you report your scores from inside the app, from the More screen, here it is. Whatever changes you make via Pressbox from your home.getvnn screen, those will appear, and then you can start to post those to your team news sections. Excuse me. And then your other question, Brian, with your coaches having a couple problems with Androids viewing the games uploaded to the website. If you could send me a personal email, Brian, I'd be happy to reach back out to you and get that resolved for your coaches that are having some trouble signing in with the Androids. So if you could send me a personal email, I'll be able to answer that individually for you. Appreciate it. Good question. Yeah, and you're welcome, Amy. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Any other questions? I'm going to stay on for probably about 5 or 6 more minutes. So if you have some more questions, feel free to rattle them off. But if not, I really appreciate you guys joining the call today. I hope it was helpful for you. And I really appreciate you taking the time to be on here for 20 or 30 minutes with me.